Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And welcome back, everybody. The drug situation in our country is worse than I think many of us believe in terms of the number of people addicted to different substances. That there's hybrids of those substances that pretty much pop up on a daily or weekly basis. There's so many out there. There's so many people whose lives are being changed or ended because of this problem. And I feel we don't realize the magnitude of, we know we have a drug problem in this country. How bad is it? We're going to talk to somebody who has a phenomenal educational program, creates awareness in schools, starting with the greater Pennsylvania area, Western Penn, to be specific. And he's looking to get the word out to administrators, students, and parents all over the country. Great to have him with us. Joseph Kress joins us here on the program. Hey, Joe, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you, Steve. How are you today?
Very well. Good to have you back here. And before we do anything, I want it known that you have a background in law enforcement. Many, many years. You dealt with drug arrest. You've undercover. I mean, the list goes on and on. The number of awards that you've received for your work in this area, and you've mentioned before that your brother lost his life, and his wife, his new wife, almost lost her life at the hands of addicts. You've been shot before during a drug search warrant. I mean, the Medal of Valor, Purple Heart, it's all there. I want that known before we even begin today, because it carries so much weight. And now you've turned the car, so to speak, to creating awareness. How bad is the situation in our country right now?
I would say, as far as drug addiction and drug problems in our country and alcohol addiction, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would rate it a 20.
Wow.
And the reason that I say that is because most people are busy taking care of their lives, and they think that their school systems are going to educate their children for their entire life. They're going to teach them what they need to know to make their life better. And unfortunately, we have a situation where our education systems do not focus on drug and alcohol addiction. They say, oh, yeah, we're going to put a program here or there, and, the big DARE program. In 2002, Senator Dick Durbin received a letter from the Government Accounting Office that spelled out the total failure of the DARE program. DARE program was a failure, and it said in that letter to him that there was no significant difference between students who had gone through DARE and those who didn't go through DARE. And that only cost the American taxpayers $30 billion.
I got to be honest with you. As the parents of an older daughter and now teenagers, before I heard that from you, it was my assumption, and I'll bet you this is the assumption of many parents, that was a wonderful program. We would pull up to our schools. We'd see the DARE car. We'd think, oh, all right, they're having an assembly, some kind of presentation. They're teaching middle school or elementary school children about drug use. The police department, the community, man, they're doing their job. How fantastic is that? That's my perception. Where do we fall short on that?
We fell short on day one. Day one, we fell short because the people who put the DARE program together did not have the expertise, did not see the real value of teaching kids what they actually have to know. And unfortunately, in our society today, we have to protect the child from being upset, and we don't want to give them any drama in their life. No, this is a war on America, and this war that's being waged on America is so intense that you can get carfentanil on the street today. carfentanil is 10,000 times more powerful than morphine. And everybody's heard of fentanyl. Fentanyl is 50 times more powerful than heroin. So we have a situation where the things that are on the street today, xylazine, fentanyl, carfentanil, heroin, cocaine, all of those things combined, you buy cocaine today or you buy heroin today, and you think that you're getting just cocaine. No. You're getting cocaine, and 90% of the time it has fentanyl in that cocaine. And people have no idea how powerful fentanyl can be. And what happens is if the person does survive it, they are so heavily addicted that they've got to have it again. And in Mexico, the cartels are mixing fentanyl in all different kinds of drugs. If a person buys a pill off the street and they think, oh, this is an Oxycontin pill, or this is a Dilaudid, or this is a Vicodin, all these different pills that they think that they're buying off the street that is pure, let's say, Oxycontin. It didn't come from a pharmaceutical lab. It was mixed by some nitwit down in Mexico with a pill stamp, and they put fentanyl in it, and they don't care if there's 3 granules of fentanyl in there or 5. And if there's 2 granules of fentanyl, and I'm talking a granule the size of a granule of sugar, if there's 2 in there, it's likely you're going to die. It's that powerful. But if you have 1 granule of fentanyl in it, you'll probably survive. And today, our kids don't realize, kids go to pill parties. Everybody gets stuff out of their medicine cabinet, and they take and dump them in a bowl, and they stir them all up, and you grab a couple pills and throw them in your mouth. And, it's just horrific how bad the drug scene is in the United States today.
Wow. Is the main challenge here the fact that the drugs that are out there are so much stronger than anybody realizes? Is that mainly what we're up against?
No. We're up against people in our own government that think that, well, instead of having programs out there that are proven to be effective, we're going to just put this program out there, just like they did with the DARE program, that aren't effective. And like in Pennsylvania, there's a law, it's Section 1547. It says explicitly that every student in a public school in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is to receive drug and alcohol prevention training each and every year from kindergarten through 12th grade. The only problem is there is no teeth in the law because there is no penalty if they don't do it. In a lot of schools, they'll give your students 15 minute lecture on drugs, and that's good for the year. And no, it's not. Our country is in serious trouble. The CDC last year estimated that 31.4 million people in the United States are addicted to drugs. That's 1/10. 1 out of every 10 people you see could be a drug user. And when you don't get the money that you need to go and buy drugs, what's your next option? Well, you go and steal from somebody or you rob somebody. That's what happened to my brother. My brother was a victim of a robbery by 2 people who were drug addicts. That they had an addiction, but they weren't the hardcore laying on the sidewalk streets. In every major city, you can walk down the street, and these people are not only homeless, but they're addicted. And what does our country do? They supply them with needles so that they don't use a dirty needle when they're injecting heroin. Is that insane or what?
Can you expound upon that, what we're talking about here, that needles are provided?
Oh, yeah. Our government provides needles for drug addicts, and they how about in New York City? The New York City mayor, what the heck was his name? The tall white guy before
De Blasio?
De Blasio, thank you. Yeah, de Blasio, he set aside open buildings and had people manage so that they could come into this open setting and they can shoot up and have medical emergency situations if they need it. They literally had places where you could go and people will watch to make sure that when you shoot up, you don't die. And if you are dying and you're going into, they'll administer Narcan and they'll call an ambulance for you. That, to me, is insanity.
What is that about? I can't even process that. What is the goal there to offer that kind of consideration, if you will?
Well, when de Blasio made this, recommendation that they should have these, that New York City should allow to have people go in and they can safely do drugs in these locations. He never stopped to realize that those people who are addicted to drugs and take their drugs into this place and they get free needles and they have somebody watching over them while they shoot up and get high, he didn't stop to realize that that addict doesn't have money to go and get drugs on his own. So what's his next best option? His next best option is to rob somebody. So now you're taking a citizen, a taxpayer citizen that's a good person out there doing the right things, working, paying their taxes, and now they're going to become a victim of a robbery because somebody needs to supply this drug addict with drugs. And when I heard that this is the angle that they're going with in major cities to provide a safe location so that they can actually go and shoot up drugs and have somebody there to administer Narcan for them if they're dying, that is insanity. That is being culpable in a person's addiction, and it's being culpable in drug processing so that people can they can do as much drugs as they want, and somebody will be there to rescue me with taxpayers' money. That Narcan doesn't come for free. I mean, these pharmaceutical companies are making a fortune, because they're the ones that are making the Narcan and supplying it to all these addicts. They don't care if these addicts continue to be addicts. It's making them money.
I still can't get past what you just said, that, we're coddling them.
Absolutely.
Let's make sure that the needle is clean.
Oh, yeah. You wouldn't want them to use a dirty needle when we can buy needles with taxpayer money and give it to them so that here's a nice, clean, brand new, fresh needle. You can use that one to get high.
And let's pay emergency support to stand by, not do anything, just basically stand by with a stretcher if needed. Just in case something goes bad.
Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing? And this is what some of these major cities in the United States do, and it's not helping anybody. It doesn't help the addict. It doesn't help the community. It doesn't help the taxpayer. When a person becomes a mayor of a major city, let's say, and not to get off the topic, but Karen Bass the other day, she was in Congress for a while. Now she's the mayor of L.A. They had no water in the fire hydrants to put the fire out. And when some reporter asked her point blank, do you feel you owe the taxpayers and the people of Los Angeles an apology for the devastation after I believe it was either $17 million or $15 million was taken out of the fire department's budget for last year? Do you feel you owe them an apology? She just stood there and looked at him. No response whatsoever. And this is what the problem is with a lot of our major communities, major cities. They take and look at the infantile, tiny little spot, the minuscule spot of, we're going to give them a clean needle. That doesn't fix anything. That doesn't help them. It actually perpetuates more drug addiction.
We're going to move on from this point, but I still haven't processed why, and this is why we're talking about it, because these are the things that most of us don't know about.
Yeah, and it's sad because most people that are hardworking, tax-paying people that are out there doing the right thing to raise their families, they deserve far better than what a lot of our government entities are doing for them. I'm all about helping people get off of drugs, but it's a far more intelligent move to invest in having that child that's in school, have them go through a program that is exceptionally effective. My program's very effective. I've gotten thousands of letters from students and teachers and principals who have gone through my program, and they rave about the effectiveness of my program. If you go on drugawarenessusa.com, my website, and go to the bottom of the right-hand column, you'll see a school resource officer say, after Lieutenant Kress's program, a young lady came up to me and handed me 7 or 8 marijuana pipes and a bag of marijuana, trusting that I wouldn't arrest her. She told me that she didn't need this anymore. She was done with this stuff. And he was told, he made the statement that I recently saw her and she's still drug-free. That's how you fix this drug issue. You don't coddle these people that are addicted. You take and you try to get them help, but the number one thing that we can do for our kids is, before it becomes a problem of addiction, you have to address it with kids so they don't even want to get involved in it. When I give a presentation, I ask the student body, how many students here want to be a doctor? And a whole bunch of hands will go up. How many want to be an attorney? A whole bunch of hands go up. How many want to be an engineer? A whole bunch of hands go up. How many people want to be a nurse? A whole bunch of hands go up. Then I say, how many people want to be a drug addict laying on the sidewalk shooting heroin? Nobody raises their hand. They don't want to have that. But the way it happens, it starts with a beer. And in high school, they start with a beer, and next thing you know, somebody hands them a joint while they got a little buzz on from drinking. And next thing you know, after they're using that, they'll start dropping a hit of acid or doing an ecstasy pill, and it just perpetuates and grows into a monster that they can't get away from.
Why, Joe, why is your program so different than, the other ones that have been tried or what the school offers wherever they get their programs from?
Because mine is not sugar-coated. It's not camouflaged. It's the real world. And unfortunately, we went through a period of time where, we don't want to traumatize the children. We can't tell them something like that. They might learn how to do drugs by having it told to them, what will happen. I think it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous because kids deserve that. They deserve to have the end game brought forward so they know what their life is going to be like if they choose to get involved in drug and alcohol.
When you provide your program, you're going in, and I believe you said you play video as well. Do I have that right?
Yeah, there's an hour-long video, and there's a 9-class curriculum manual. In that 9-class curriculum manual, if a person can read, they can run this program. Every single step is spelled out for them. And those 9 classes, they go through a whole topic of different drugs, alcohol, and whatever situation you can be involved in with regards to drugs. And it takes select information for each drug and tells you how it's going to destroy you. And you play a segment of the video, and then you go to the manual and you ask questions. And the students, they bounce these thoughts and this information back and forth in the classroom, and they are so engaged. It's unbelievable. If you go on that website, drugawarenessusa.com, and at the bottom of that right-hand column, you'll see a principal say, after Lieutenant Kress's program, I couldn't believe there was a student body of about 120 people and teachers, and you could have heard a pin drop for an hour and a half. He said, and the money that you would use to invest in Lieutenant Kress's program, you would get 5 times the value that you would out of textbooks because it's the real world.
Do you feel, Joe, that because you are being real with the program, you're not sugarcoating it, you're laying it on exactly the way it is, do you think that that's why it resonates with students?
Oh, absolutely. Because, they're getting to hear the versions that they don't know. They're getting to hear the versions of, instead of, oh man, you'll feel so good if you take this, it makes you feel good. Well, wait a minute. Once you become addicted, now you're going to have to go out and prostitute yourself. You're going to have to rob people. You're going to have to burglarize homes. You're going to have to carjack people and try and use their car to go and get more drugs. I mean, it does not lay back and make anything look like, oh, it's no big deal. It is a big deal. Because let's say, for the sake of discussion, you go into a store and you rob them for $50 or $100. Guess what the alternative's going to be? The alternative is, if I catch you or a police officer catches you before you get those drugs, now you're going to prison. You did an armed robbery. You're going to jail. And you're going to be put in there with murderers, rapists, robbers, thieves, child molesters. And most of these kids have no clue about the end game when you go to prison. In my program, I have a former drug dealing convict that participates in my program. He's reformed. He says, I feel terrible from all of the stuff that I sold in the people's lives that I destroyed. And now I have to give back because I don't want to see kids go through this. He really was a super guy after he grew up a bit and got mature and decided, hey, this is what I'm doing is wrong. I can't keep doing this. And I have my program, it spells it out. And like I said, it doesn't sugarcoat a thing. And that's what resonates with kids. They see the real world and they stand back and go, oh, this is not worth getting high. It's just not worth it.
Well, I'm a firm believer in you can spot a phony. So, and who better than middle school students, high school students, even younger. They know. Yeah. They can pick up on, what you're throwing down there, and much, much more worse than I think any of us believed that the situation is in our country. Joe, if a parent is listening, an administrator, anybody that's interested in changing it up and really informing our students of what is going on, how do they contact you about the program?
If you go on my website, drugawarenessusa.com, you'll find my phone number, contact information, my email address, and I'd be more than happy to talk to anyone. Here's the thing. A lot of times our students, their parents will go to a school board meeting. They should be screaming and yelling to get my kid in a program so that they don't have to grow up being an addict. And, last year, over 111,000 Americans died of drug overdose. And not one of them got up one day and said, today I want to be a drug addict. Not one of them raised their hand in a classroom and said, I don't want to be a doctor. I want to be a drug addict, laying on the street, on a sidewalk, homeless, robbing people so I can get money for drugs. Not one of them, anywhere in this country, grew up and wanted to be like that. Well, once drugs take a hold of them, they have no choice.
Goes right back to the beginning of what we started here. We don't know what's going on out there. We just assume our schools are taking care of our kids.
Right.
Not going on. Not happening. Once again, the website, if you want to find out more, drugawarenessusa.com. Joe, thanks again for being here. Thanks for your passion and illustrating what the heck is going on. Serious stuff happening. We got to do something about it. And looking forward next time we get together.
Well, Steve, I have to thank you from the bottom of my heart, because without your voice and without your wonderful podcast, believe me, people would never hear this. And it's up to parents to go to school board meetings and not ask, demand that their child starts getting the education they need about drug and alcohol awareness. Because if they don't, 1 out of 10 of those kids are going to grow up to be an addict.
Without awareness, they can't be changed, and that's why we're here today. Joe, thanks again. We'll be right back. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge?
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend?
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.